Welcome back to the European Masters, the final game of the second day of the second week. I'm k1ck, joined by k1ck, and we've had great games already. And on paper, this is the one that should top them all. It's the finals rematch. It's k1ck versus LDLC.
Yeah, and honestly, as you just said, finals rematch from last time. Let's just get that into our mind right now. They are fighting for the first seed in their group, but you're also fighting for revenge here if you're k1ck. You want to be the one that beat the champion that you couldn't beat last time, and as LDLC, you're looking to retain that title and show that you're still at the top of your game.
And for k1ck, I gotta imagine, like, you also have to, like, overcome a really big hurdle here in that LDLC traditionally has done very well against k1ck. And even with how k1ck are looking right now, on paper they should be the favorite. Higher on score, they look better. LDLC, it's the number 3 seed of the LFL. They've been looking inconsistent, but the reason that the team is so fit because their peaks are so high.
And that's the thing, it's the ceiling of LDLC, how high it really is. Question is, are they meeting that ceiling? And that's exactly as you point out. Sometimes they have shown inconsistency, but historically they have done well against k1ck. Also last week when we had the Euro Masters, they were the only team to beat k1ck in the first round robin. Not even round robin, but just the first bracket. Not even bracket, just groups. What am I saying?
Yeah. I mean, it's a round robin groups.
There we go.
I'll give you that one. It's fine. Now, for k1ck, we already talked about them earlier. Ibo, Shlatan, but also Puki style we can pop off time and time again, whereas Matislaw has a little bit more of a supportive style, which with a player of his caliber says a lot about the rest of his team. But LDLC, there's one name that keeps popping up, and it's TynX.
Yes, I think that's what's going to be really interesting because it's kind of like this for both these teams. You mentioned k1ck, you mentioned Shlatan, you mentioned LDLC, you mentioned TynX, and I feel it's going to be really interesting. Today we have seen that the likes of Graves and Italy has really popped back into the meta again. 2 weeks ago it was the Hecarim, like, forget that, yesterday it was the Hecarim that just kept going on and on again, and we have already seen what a menace TynX can be on the Hecarim, and we've seen that they haven't really prioritized that on the side of k1ck. I'm looking at how these two teams have evolved in terms of when they play against each other, the pick and bans, what's the priorities, and how's the playstyle against them, because it's always so hype when these two teams play against each other.
Last time it was a slugfest as well. It's not like LDLC stomped them. It's just in the end they were the ones who came out ahead. They picked up an Elder Drake, and team fighting against an Elder Drake is not good. I'm a simple man, but I can tell you that. That is a strong buff. Hopefully today, they don't have to do that. k1ck has been looking incredible thus far. They're currently up 2-0. And even though LDLC have been on the rebound of what must be a really kind of a rough week 1, it's about the ceiling. It's about the performance on the day.
And I honestly don't think we saw their ceiling today. We saw them play against Samsung Morningstar where they had a 10k gold lead, and it took them ages closing out their game. If you take a look at k1ck instead, they're extremely proactive. As soon as they get to that 15-minute mark, they are just exponentially growing their gold lead and the objectives they're getting and closing out their games fast. So I'm a bit worried if LDLC cannot get going and face them on an even setting or actually be ahead. How are they going to be able to come back when they couldn't even finish with a 10k gold lead earlier, right?
If you're wondering why we're not in game yet, players encountered an issue and are currently remaking Champ Select. We will be into Champ Select in about 5 minutes. Not the case quite yet, but this gives us the opportunity to look at these teams at a little bit deeper than surface level. Because, as I said before, this is the rematch of the finals. These are the two teams that, when this group was announced, everyone was like, okay, they got to make it out. Now, that happened in the end, but with absurd performances from, of course, SMS, who really over-delivered, Schalke, who looked, unfortunately, a lot weaker than expected. It is the matchup that a lot of people expected, but I still feel like I don't know who's going to take this. It's so hard to gauge these two teams before we actually see them play against one another.
Yeah, and based on consistency, I would just give it to k1ck Neosurf in the beginning, because we have talked about it from the games we've seen today as well. They just look way cleaner in their play. There's no way around it, whereas not Schalke, but LDLC is still showing some weaknesses here and there. But as you've also mentioned yourself, traditionally, they are having an edge onto k1ck. It doesn't matter how, like last time with the finals, k1ck came in as clear favorites as well, and they're not able to take that. LDLC completely shut down their dreams, and they might do it again today.
And the interesting thing for me is, and if you can, I'd love to maybe look a little bit more at that, is it's interesting because K1ck's strongest point, to me at least, it feels like, is their consistency. It's the depth of that roster, the fact that Aibo can hard carry, which we've seen time and time again. Shlatan, even if he doesn't get early leads, he finds leads somehow anyway, and Puki's style might very well be one of the most, if not the most consistent AD carry that we've seen. But how does LDLC do it? Is it a clutch factor? What is their secret?
I honestly think, there is some clutch factor involved. I think they kind of rise up to the level of their opponent at times, whereas you can see they didn't do too well against Samsung Morningstar. Granted, they were a good team, whereas the kind of playstyle they threw at them that kind of sometimes keep them a bit off guard. But when you go into a game like this, and you know what stakes are on the table, we just have seen them perform every time. A lot of it comes down to the decision-making that LDC actually have. They're not afraid to give up objectives in the early game and then trade it off for gold elsewhere on the map, and that's how they keep themselves in the game. Every time there is a play from K1ck Neosurf, usually there will be a counterplay coming in from LDLC.
So LDLC's ability to consistently answer whatever K1ck is doing makes them such a menace, and then maybe catch them off guard every now and then, because honestly, if I see K1ck looking like today, it feels like it should be a one-sided match. But then you look at the historical head-to-head, then you look at like last week, and you can't call this one. It's such a hard game, and let's be honest, K1ck, LDLC, after last game, the barrier is quite high.
We were talking about this. You literally told me, I did not expect this game to be the most hyped game today, because this is initially what we were expected to deliver.
It still is.
It still is, but they are coming from a game that really delivered. Samsung Morningstar's knocking out Schalke like that. Honestly, I'm still a bit baffled by it. It's still resonating with me. It really does. And I think that's just the beauty of YellOwStaR as well. Regions coming forward and the feelings and attachments you get in these small days as a viewer and caster as well, for that sake, to these different teams. And now that attachment is supposed to go further into the quarterfinals. Both these teams have already made it, but whoever is going to come out on top says so much about it going into the quarters, because this is, as we've mentioned, the last finalist of YellOwStaR.
It's a fight for the seed in the quarterfinals. Winning this game will get you a much easier seed. It's the Ultraliga against the LFL. Both of these two regions are top contenders, right? We've seen it last at YellOwStaR, Ultraliga, both Rogue and K1ck have looked incredible. But do not forget, while this is an Ultraliga versus LFL, this is not even the strongest seed of the LFL. And that is something that it's got to scale. This is the number 3 seed.
I think that, yeah, it is the number 3 seed, but at the same time, the LFL teams kind of swap that position every now and then. Going into the draft, we see a lot of priority picks already banned out. Aibo's Hecarim, not Hecarim, but Renekton off the table, TynX Hecarim away, and the picks already storming through. Orianna being prioritized for Matislaw, and at the same time you can see the pickup. They are going for a 1-3-1 composition at the side of LDLC. The Camille and Akila has come through, instantly being answered by the Ezreal and Ornn, and then they're going through with the Skarner, and we've already seen Skarner today one time, and it's just a pick composition that is really nice into when you want to force fights in the early game. You have to pay the Skarner attacks as well, so it kind of messes with your itemizations. So there's a lot of good things coming out from it. I cannot follow these bans.
Well, no, it's the last game of the day. We're trying to put a little bit of the pace on here. From K1ck Neosurf, it's looking like a straight-up teamfight composition. See the Braum, see the Ezreal, and the Kindred as well. It's, yet again, a double carry team composition with a lot of importance on Shlatan. This time, Matislaw has a lot of agency as well. With the Orianna, of course, a big shockwave can be a big problem. But then I look at LDLC comes and I'm like, when are you ever actually going to fight a 5v5? Because that's not what LDLC wants to do.
No, and that's the thing. You're very dependent on you actually get that wave flip, but obviously it is a 1-3-1 composition that LDLC has drafted, but don't mistake it as a composition that can't teamfight, because Camille, one of the split pushers that actually has value in a teamfight setting. Akali, the same can be said for her, and with Skarner, who's able to drag victims out of the Kindred ultimate so you can execute them. There's some small micro plays and some different stuff you can actually make work here. But yeah, looking at it, it should be K1ck Neosurf with the better teamfight composition. And they might be a bit scared at the side of LDLC right now, because we have already seen what Shlatan can do on Kindred one time today. And he goes unnoticed in the early game, and then all of a sudden, he gets his item power spike, and your Nexus is dead.
The man is absurdly strong, doesn't even need a lead in the early game to completely take over games, which we saw so very clearly the last time that these both of these teams played, and as well the last time that we saw K1ck play. Now, we talked on the side of K1ck. It's about Ibo. This time, though, he has been put on the Ornn yet again. His Renaxan keeps getting banned away, which is completely understandable considering how absurdly strong his performances has been. And with that, we are seeing a little bit of a level 1 threat. And with a Braum, I can understand that.
But it's also, you can take over the Skarner, little charges in the river, you get 15 gold, you get some
spires.
of that pressure away. Yeah, you might as well.
Yeah, very well. Get that, a little bit free gold and a little bit of vision control as we see now TynX pathing towards the bot side. And as you said before, of course, there are opportunities where you can kind of team fight, but I don't think you ever want to start a fight on even footing as LDLC, and the Kai'Sa kind of ties into that as well.
Okay, so what can we expect from this early game? You can see that both bot laners are actually leasing at the side of K1ck and LDLC. Usually what you would see in another setting is that you would give your bot lane priority of the wave and do the leash yourself. But these two wants to get their clear going as fast as they can. And I think it's playing into that it is the matchup, not between the champions, but between Shlatan and TynX, who are star players of their roster. You can see Shlatan already fast onto the top side, while TynX is taking a full clear. But inevitably, they are going to move to the top side, which means that that is the scuttle they're going to be fighting for first. And that means you need the good pressure in your side lane. So whoever can get that pressure, you get a little percentage extra in that play, how you want to fight it out.
If the ancient wisdom of better jungler wins is true, that's not even an answer in this question, because both Shlatan and TynX we've seen are time and time again, they're so strong. Both these players have incredible highlight potential, and it's going to come down to the execution. Now, I see a composition that can, at the very least, can 1-3-1, and I'm thinking, how are they going to get these lanes ahead? And what do you need to do here as K1ck? I say to counteract that, and the answer, quite clearly, is invade. As TynX don't think wants to really find or be found here. The Bando is very far forward.
Bando's feeling very safe here. He might go down because of this.
As the adaptive shield is going to keep himself alive for a little bit longer. Ibo doesn't have the charge available, and that is a very nice loop around there from Bando. Felt like he was dead there. If that's a level 3 Ornn, that's end of story. But now they escaped the invade, and they escaped the gank.
And that is perfect. You want to just stabilize that. The fact that Shlatan couldn't get in there, invade. Oh my god. He's just going around again.
Bando have hook shot. He will see Shlatan now. Has the hook shot available. And Shlatan sees the turret and says, thank you, but no thank you.
Yeah, and this means that TynX know that Shlatan is still at the top side. He will be able to go down bot side, get that scuttle for himself. But Shlatan winning the 50-50 coin flip here in the beginning, his first mark is on that scuttle.
What has happened, though, even with Shlatan picking up the scuttle, which is, of course, huge for Kindred, need to hit that 4-mark barrier. TynX, due to the fact that 2 ganks have failed, has now built up a huge CS lead.
Oh my god, the CS lead come into a gank in mid lane.
And they go aggressive here on the top of Matislaw. He gets CC chained. The ignite comes through and Vetheo goes in, finds the kill. Now Shlatan wants to trade back evenly, finds at least one, and with Mystiques coming in, I think TynX needs to get the hell out of there. He goes back in for the stun, but that's 2 kills already for Shlatan. YellOwStaR needs to flash out as well, and that's 2 kills. I was building up about how Shlatan is behind, and he turns it around.
And that's the thing, you talk about TynX CS lead where Shlatan is coming in there, sacrificing Matislaw to summon 2 double kills for himself. Perfect in this scenario. Matislaw's actually not even bothering to use the flash here. I think he's believed he's going to stay alive. And with Vetheo coming in with that shuriken toss, trying to get out of there with the flash, it's just not enough after the tower shot. And it's just really easy for Shlatan to get in here and pick it up.
TynX, no, I'm dead already. I might as well try and turn it around here. Unfortunately, not enough grade run from Mystiques there as well. And here we see Bando yet again, very low. Has used the teleport and now needs to back.
Here's the thing. Shlatan still haven't backed yet. He is still just sitting at his Hunter's Machete. And the Drake is spawning in 5 seconds. But he want to equalize as much of this lead as he can. And you can take a look at the gold now. He is 300 ahead, sitting on 1600. But this means that LDLC will be able to pick up the first Drake with the bot lane pressure they have. and with TynX at the Dragon.
Despite the kills, there is still a CS advantage here as YellOwStaR goes in for a little bit of poke just to make sure that no one will roam towards TynX. The Cloud Dragon is going to get picked up, and as an LFL fan, as an LDLC fan, you're happy to see this because that means no Cloud Rift, and if you start off with the first Drake, you're going to feel pretty good about that.
Well, I mean, Skarner really likes that Cloud Drake. You ult and you just zoom out of there. That looks kind of funny when that finally happens. But
okay, yeah, I see it.
But this means that we get some of the most powerful dragons in the Rift. With the next Drake being the Mountain Drake, there's only two options left. That's the Infernal Drake, and it's the Ocean Drake. And there's benefits for both teams to those Drakes, so you want to be contesting that as soon as these Drakes come out. But as K1ck right now, you don't mind giving the first ones up. Your Ezreal is always pushed in.
Beautiful cancel there of the dash from Aibo, who was trying to look for the knock-up. TynX is there as well. The extended trade getting baited out here. Bando needs to make sure that he doesn't go die. And Aibo is gonna just get dunked here underneath the turret. TynX with just a little bit of health. No stress, gets out there.
Aibo still had the flash, but the most crucial part here is not even him going down, it's him missing out on that huge CS lead in the top side, where he's equalized down in the bot side.
So we see the dive coming through. YellOwStaR taken low, will get stuns, but can't quite get the third hit on the Kindred E. And it's not just the wave, it's also the amount of plays that Bando picks up, and all of a sudden LDLC, it's starting to look like, yet again, they find an early lead against K1ck.
But they are trying to equalize on the resources down here in the bot side. They are trying to steal away the blue buff here. A fight might break out around this.
Now Matislaw, level 6, has the Aftershock available. Vetheo, they're also there with the perfect execution. TynX is gonna go in there. Speedy Scorpion looking for a target, but can't quite impale them and drag them back to their leg quite yet. And it looks like LDLC says, okay, guys, this is a blue buff. Let's leave it at that.
In hindsight, it's not too bad. Your mid laner here that would usually hand off to the blue buff is an Akali, who does have that energy. So it don't have too much influence on what blue buff gives you, in all honesty. But it does give you a takeaway. It's some XP and it's some nice gold to equalize the lead you want to get as Shlatan.
And Mystiques, maybe in a little bit of an awkward spot, will be able to stand towards Puki if he would get engaged on, which is very much not the case. And now we see an early lead coming through here as there comes the perfect execution. Matislaw going for a defensive shockwave. TynX is there as well. Still the pill available, and he's buying so much time, and in the end it will not be enough as Vetheo finds the kill. Not even giving the assist over to TynX. That's just rude.
And our Akalis are really showing up today. He doesn't even have his Hextech Gunblade. He's just sitting at the revolver at this point. That is true. But all he needs is that Gunblade. As soon as he gets that, Matislaw's life is going to be even worse than it is right now.
That was the joke, because you're full but Akali on Gunblade.
Oh.
That's okay. It was not a very good joke.
It got completely over my head.
That's my bad. As here we see the gank coming in through early. I call it a gank, but it's really just an extended 1v1.
That was a quick one.
Yeah, quick 1v1. And there we see the hack slash come through. Shlatan. That doesn't matter, Lamps Respite, if you get pulled out of it by an angry Scorpion. And that is going to be a free kill picked up. And this is not looking good for K1ck thus far.
And once again, it's TynX onto this Skarner, who's enabling his teammates. Vetheo got one more kill onto this Akali. And we talked about this interaction in Champion Select. Well, you Lamp Respites, that doesn't matter. The Scorpion is just going to pull you out and kill you. And this means they can equalize their lead even more. All the neutral objectives so far has been going to the side of LDLC. And with top lane on this low plate, it doesn't need much for you to just get up here, get that Rift held down, and then get your 1-3-1 composition going, because then you're going to have a fed Akali, you're going to have fed Camille on the plates, and you're going to be looking really scary on the map.
All in all, LDLC is hitting all the marks that we want to see them. And coming into this game, we asked the question, which LDLC we're going to see in this specific match. We call them inconsistent, we call them high and low, as Bando goes really deep. Hextech ultimatum is more than enough, not even going to get that chance. Solo kill here, and Bando might maybe pay for it live. The hookshot is not up in time, but I don't even think that that's going to be a trade you're really happy with. Just getting gold on this Camille is simply essential.
He just walked.
Yep, he's just, Bando is very relaxed, just walks out of that, and that's the lack of vision. What do you do here as K1ck?
I mean, it's so hard when you see Aibo starts getting solo killed with an Ornn with all the armor items he's already got, and Bando is only going to get worse at this point. Bando really stepping up here. Last time a misconception was about him that he's only able to play these tanks, but now we've seen him today on the Renekton, we've seen him on these Camilles, and he's stepping up.
It's quite a redemption name for Bando as well, because he had, of course, the Lilia game last week that just didn't go very well, and then to see these solo kills, to see this pressure is beautiful. Shlatan is looking for a play on Vetheo here. Matislaw has the ultimate available, but Vetheo goes for the Shuriken flip, and that's the end of that play.
You know, the little highlight here was that you still got the cannon minion at the same time.
Yes.
So getting away and still getting that cannon, best case scenario.
That's the dream.
Look at the items. Next strike is going to be this mountain. Vetheo already with the Hectech Gunblade ready. I don't really see how they can contest this at the side of King.
We go on and on about how good Shlatan and Ibo are, and then we have a team in LDLC that just takes those expectations and shows them why this is the defending champion. LDLC won last EU Masters. Yes, they've changed their AD carry, but that's not enough to say that they are not still one of the most scary teams to play against.
And we were talking about this ceiling of LDLC is so high. But I think we're starting to see them on the stairs, on the way to that ceiling here. They're looking really good. They are almost running here. 2 Drakes already picked up with the pressure they've gotten already. You can see the Orianna is starting to get stacked up on Exakick as well onto this Kai'sa. And that team fighting is still going to be scary. We said the Camille is scary in a side lane. We said the Akali is going to be scary in a side lane.
Bando, are you going to do it again? Are you kidding me? Okay, well, yeah.
It just comes out of nowhere.
Goalbook, this is not good for Ultra League fans.
You need to stabilize your top lane, and you need to still have pressure along the objectives. You need to make sure your Orianna is not getting killed by the Akali. Right now, there is too many holes in K1ck, and you can't fix all of them at the same time.
And maybe LDLC overextending a little bit here. They have to immediately go for the defensive flash. Vetheo is going to dive into his shroud to stay alive for a little bit longer. But this is the problem. Yes, that's a nice play. Yes, that's a bit of pressure you exert. But the plates are dropping left and right. And LDLC is building up such an absurd lead in the early game here. And you said 1v1 composition. I see Bando fed. I see Vetheo fed. And I'm worried.
And you should be.
Yes.
Because it's really hard forcing these. Oh, no.
Shlatan. Bando is... pretty sure he's not aware, but that's going to be a double TP coming in here.
Oh my god.
That is a very, very unfortunate situation here, as they will be kept alive a little bit longer there by the Lampeter Spike, but in the end, that is already the double picked up as Shlatan and Ibo both go down. And this is K1ck. We were hyping them up as the one to take it all. They were the finalists of last time, but it feels like when it comes to playing against specifically LDLC, there's just no way.
It's just a kryptonite to K1ck every time. LDLC look shakier today, but now coming in as a huge consistent force, and they are looking scary, forcing down this mid lane objective already. They're not going to be able to take it down, but Vetheo not only getting the kills, getting the plates now, getting all the resources he can get. And he's just styling on them here. It starts with the TP, and it looks like Bando is just going to be caught out here, but look at that damage. That is honestly absurd. And as soon as Vetheo get in here, yeah, it's a nice knock-up from the beginning, but that's not stopping an Akali. She's going to dash in there, and she's not even using the dash. She's used the gunblade to final execution back and get the double kill instead.
That's the
He's
ultimate
just
BM.
styling. Yeah, that is the ultimate BM.
So Vetheo, incredibly fat. Bando, Triforce, has 2 double kills now, if I'm not mistaken? 2? Definitely 2. Maybe replay there as well. 2 minutes till the Drake. You are looking at a turbo-fed 1-3-1 composition that is going to have so much side lane pressure. What do you do here as K1ck? Do you just go for the Hail Mary teamfight with your hard engage and hope it works out?
And that's the thing, right? You kind of need those items. You need your Ezreal to be on the at least 2 item power spike. You need Shlatan to get to it as well.
TynX is standing very far forward. The reinforcements are coming, but Matislaw is drawn into the lair. As the shockwave only finds Vetheo, he can stay alive for a lot longer. Look at that damage from the Akali! That's not okay! As the stun does come through in the end, it will be a pickup with a beautiful ultimate from Puki.
But the worst part is that Mystiques picked up that 850 gold shutdown on the Braum. That is just unlucky. Like, initially it's a really good pickup and a bit too greedy, but Bando is not done.
Bando is going to go in here. Doesn't quite land the hookshot though, and is also fanning, but that's precision protocol. That's okay. That's completely fine as he used the Aztec ultimatum here. A lot of damage, but the reinforcements are in, and now Ibo standing in a very awkward position. Bando goes for the re-engage again. These are your defending champions of the European Masters, and I dare I say, for the first time this tournament, they really looked apart.
You sure Bando is not playing Darius? It feels like his Q is just a Darius ultimate executing people time and time again. He does so much damage, and he's not going to stop at this point.
It's not okay.
LDLC, a bit greedy at this point. They really don't need to be playing like this. You're talking about how will K1ck be able to get back? Well, it's crucial that you can get these shutdowns onto Vetheo. It's crucial that you can find these picks in the jungle. But the fact that Mystiques get this kill and not Shlatan or the true shot for Puki style, it's honestly horrible.
It's very sad. And here you go. There's Shlatan, and then he's gone. Goes very quickly. Yeah, that's the second activation of Precision Protocol right there. And all in all, it's just incredible what we're seeing here from LDLC. And this is K1ck, a team that still is so insanely good as we get a really weird kerfuffle around this Rift Herald. In the end, it will be Shlatan picking up a minor victory here. And K1ck have a great teamfight composition. They have great scaling, but with the pace of this game, LDLC are gonna have to find what I think basically amounts to a monumental throw to give the control of this one up.
And that's the thing, because they're going to get this next trade. I don't think there's nothing K1ck can do to get them to soul point here. So this Infernal Drake is going to go over to LDLC. You talk about scaling. Matislaw has opted in for a more aggressive build on the Orianna, where he's not going to tier build. That means he's never going to get the Seraph's Embrace shield, and he's even easier to be killing. As soon as this Ezreal got his spike, as soon as Shlatan got his spike, you're going to be behind in items, but you need to be fighting with the percentages.
LDLC, why are you so far forward? This is not necessary at all. Might have to blow a summoner left or right here. It seems though over the wall. And YellOwStaR goes for the re-engage and then goes out. And that was definitely the planned end of the play. Give up a lot. Not really necessary, I feel like. A little bit of a preemptive zoning, we'll call it.
So Bill is still a bit sloppy here coming in from them, but you can still see that the pressure is coming from LDLC. Though they are able to get the Silver Lining Herald down in the mid lane, opening up the map, and that makes it a bit easier for you to move around the map from the pressure that's coming down.
As they are going to bow down on Bando here. He's on his own, and I'm pretty sure that Shlatan is going to find a kill. Meanwhile, in the bot lane, Vetheo is going to demolish the Orianna. Bando trying to turn it around here. Lamps Required, of course, still available, but he can't even use it! Bando, are you kidding me? In what might very well be the greatest redemption arc I have seen in a long time. Bando just blowing people up consistently here.
I'm lost for words.
What do you do? What do you do?
That's just Bando. He's so fed on the Camille right now. And Shlatan, even with the Lamb's Respite, didn't get a chance to use it. He didn't expect that he was going to get down from half HP and just dead. I assume that it was up. Maybe I was wrong though.
No, it was. But that's the problem, right? If you pop it there, then you know that Bando also gets the time to stall. So it's basically a lose-lose situation, but still, it feels so bad. Shlatan, Ilo, these guys, they are... Honestly, when they look good, and we've seen them exclusively look good, they look amazing. But I'm going to say it again, it feels like LDLC, this number 3 seed of the LFL specifically, is just kryptonite to K1ck. I don't see otherwise. This is just unheard of because K1ck's consistency is something we talk about time and time and time again.
I completely agree with it. We talked about K1ck today. They look so consistent. They look like they we said that they would come in as the favorites because LDLC looked a bit sloppy. There's nothing about LDLC looking sloppy right now, and I think Vetheo on his Akali right now is having a dream performance. He was literally just diving the Orianna on the turret, just like that.
And Vetheo's performance on Assassin, on the LeBlanc as well, is just exquisite. As Bando, I've seen this one before. This does not actually end well for you, K1ck. Please back off.
if they continue to go onto this, there's less than a minion onto the Baron. Oh god.
Okay, okay. Well, I don't think they can really retaliate here, as there comes a lot of damage. He's going to try and go for the blow up on Shlatan again. And the teleport is going to come through here as well. Bando is not able to stay alive, and now all of a sudden it's looking really, really, really bad, as Vetheo with a big shot on his head is there for no apparent reason. And just as we give the credits to LDLC for being consistent, for being overpowering, and for being strong, they make plays like this for no reason.
How the mighty have fallen so quickly. They were so hyped up. We hyped them up. And then they just go ahead and die. Great punish from the rest of K1ck here, where there's no real objective to get before the Baron spawn. Yes, they get a tower. But crucially, Matislaw finally gets a shot down.
My takeaway here is that whichever team we say is doing well immediately does stuff like this.
Yeah, and I think Bando actually makes a huge mistake in this fight. Yes, he's overstepping, but he ultimates the Braum instead of ultimating onto the Kindred. Essentially, that pushes Shlatan away from you, and you're not able to bait out the Lamb's Respite, and you just die. So actually a huge mechanical misplay came out from Bando in that play.
These two teams are playing for the #1 seed. You get a much easier quarterfinals. They're both through. Ultraliga and LFL fans can both rest easy, unlike the Prime League fans, which just saw one of the teams get knocked out, and it's not looking amazing for them. But this is, yet again, LDLC. 1 minute, this game might very well be decided, because that's when the Infernal Soul is on the books.
Yeah, let's see about it. Shlatan is still looking to punish Bando down here. Infernal Soul's 50 minutes. Just before that, once again, it was K1ck that came in with the expectation. It was them that came in with the chance for redemption and revenge.
I'm pretty sure this Baron is gone.
LDLC doesn't even care about the Drake. They might even get it as an exit objective, but they're coming in now.
Teleport is coming in, but the Baron is already gone. It's more about whether or not you can punish here. Look at Vetheo standing there in the flank. He is the big hero as YellOwStaR goes in onto the back line. Can't quite find what he's looking for, as we see TynX go very, very deep, and it backfires immediately. You have the Baron buff, LDLC. You don't need to go in this deeply, as we see both Bando and TynX taken down. That is a very greedy recall. I don't think you can get away with that, Vetheo, and he needs to be careful. Does have a little bit of survivability, and with Exakick down, I don't think Shlatan can go in here, but LDLC, a little bit overzealous.
And they didn't have to take that team fight. They had the Baron, they would have the pressure for just setting around this Drake, but instead they got greedy once again, and I feel like that kinda has become a trend for them in this game. We've seen it in the side lanes, we've seen it in the jungle, and now we saw it here at the Baron. This CC just doesn't layer properly. It's initially a nice flank. You can see to the left side from Vetheo.
Engage.
Yeah, exactly. But YellOwStaR doesn't get Matislaw into this one and doesn't actually get the knock-up onto Puki style, which means that he's just running into charm people, and the great shockwave from Matislaw in a choke point in the jungle makes it really hard for the rest of LDLC to take this fight.
It cost them 2 of the Baron buffs, but in the end, LDLC still walk away the victor of that. Yes, their Infernal Soul is a little bit delayed, but when you look at the value of the Baron buff, specifically in this type of composition, I'm sure they're still more than happy. But that also gives us an insight in how do K1ck come back in this game, and how do they claim that first seed in the group?
It gives them 5 more minutes on the Infernal Soul timer. That means you have time for Ibo to get the ornaments out onto your teammates. You have time for Puki style to get his death stance on the Ezreal. And as you can see now, Matislaw just finished up the Spellbinder. You are starting to stack up a lot of damage as K1ck. And even though the gold lead is still 6k, even though LDLC still has the chance to pull the trigger, you cannot disrespect K1ck anymore, because if you do, it might as well cost you the game.
And they've been doing that time and time again, and yes, it's a 1-for-1 comp. Yes, they're incredibly far ahead, but we've also seen 1-for-1 comps flounder because the execution comes so narrowly. You can't just run in, walk in like with a team composition, hope you hit your ultimate. You need to set up the waves. You need to find those clean plays. LDLC, I'm going to say it again, when they look great, they look amazing, but at times, they're a little bit overzealous.
They're still keeping up the pressure though here with the Baron buff. I would like to see them spread out more on the map. They do have a 1-3-1 composition. I want to see Bando enabling that pressure in the top side and Vetheo going down to the bot side. And then you keep the pressure at the mid lane. You can even stack the waves so they'll go in at the same time.
You know what would be really good if you had a Baron buff on Bando right now, so you had more pressure.
That would be really nice.
It would be, right?
Yeah.
I'd love that.
Yeah, that's a shame he didn't get that Baron buff.
And I think this is maybe the pitfall of LDLC, are these calls where half of the team is like, let's go in, because you saw TynX flash forward there, you saw Bando go in. Meanwhile, simultaneously, Vetheo is perfect executioning the hell out of a fight, which generally I take as a sign that you don't want to continue that particular fight.
Yeah, and it kind of needs to be the executing factor. But what it also enables is that there's a lot of AoE damage you can get down in a fight. And right now, Exakick on the Kai'Sa has gone completely unnoticed this entire game. 101, but has stacked up that Rune's Hurricane now, has the Rage Blade, and got the Romana finished up now. So there's a lot of damage that's going to be coming out from Exakick now, as well into these team fights. So it's no longer Bando and Vetheo that's the only threat.
Bando.
You also have the Kai'Sa to be aware of.
Bando, you're alone. There's no objective on the map. You can't get caught here. Cyber will be calling up on the Forge Gods. Bando, fine for now. He's going to use the Hextech Ultimatum. That's the Shockwave, and that's just 4 people that demolish you instantly. Now the answer is, what can LDLC get back?
Yeah, it looks like they're just going to be opening up the mid lane turret here. There's no one back. I don't think they're going to be able to get the inhibitor. So at least you got that as a silver lining as Kick right now. But Bando, even though he goes down, that was a lot of smooth moves he actually had dodging out on that Ornn ultimate. But once again, just being caught off guard, they need to have a better communication around the lanes here. In a 1-3-1, the setting is that you push as a top laner, you communicate to your team, do I see anyone here? No, I don't see anyone. Okay, so yeah, continue. If you're in the mid lane and you don't see anyone in the mid lane, you probably know they're going top side, so you should communicate that to your mid laner, to your top laner.
You really need to, and I love that you pointed out Exakick, because as you say, 101 has barely had an impact. That's not in a bad way. It's a Kai'Sa where you expect them to take a while. But I would love to see them utilize this pick to actually use the pressure of Bando in the side lane, to use the killer instinct to maybe go for these cross-map plays, because right now it feels like, even though LDLC is the one with the 1-3-1 composition, the one with the actual pressure is Kick.
You might get that little finesse, but I think it's going to be around this Infernal Soul Drake instead here. Pressure on the map is still an LDLC, and that means they get to control the vision. You can see now Kick in here to fight for it, ready to go in it. And since they're more group right now, they have the luxury of removing that vision. But you can see Vetheo in the top lane does have teleport, and he will exceed pressure. The teleport is coming in now. 20 seconds onto the Drake spawn. This might be the game for LDLC right here.
They're playing proactive. They're not letting the Akali push. They're making a statement here. We want this Drake. We want the Infernal Soul. That is how we are going to secure this game. As they find the Impale on top of Mystiques, he immediately goes down. YellOwStaR with a beautiful engage. As we see Exakick dive into the backline, we send the man had done enough. He heard us and immediately pushes back. As Shlatan is going to go down after the golden age for him is over. It's a triple kill. It's a quadra kill for Vetheo. And this man surely has deserved it. LDLC in an all-or-nothing fight the clean ace.
And Vetheo has honestly stepped up today. I mean, the game starts as it will end now with a quadra kill from Vetheo. He's just been getting kills every time. And LDLC rightfully has put resources into this mid laner.
In the game of rock, paper, scissors, LDLC beats Kick. It doesn't matter when they meet, where they meet, they will not be able to stand up. And it says a lot against a team as good as Kick that LDLC can make them look this week. They're gonna pad the stats. They're gonna get a little bit of a final flourish there. But this is why this team is your defending champion of the European Masters.
And with this, that will lead LDLC as the first seed going into quarters from this group as well. They have the head-to-head against Kick, as you just mentioned. They are just the kryptonite. And I kind of want to re-emphasize in this, Kick is a really good team, but they just got completely dumpstered by LDLC.
They did. And that's the insane thing, is that LDLC can go from losing to SMS last week. Now, SMS is a great team, don't get me wrong. But from losing to SMS last week to going and look like this against one of, not just, you know, the favorites to make it out of the group, but one of the favorites to get to the very end again, to get to that final with players like Ibo, like Shlatan, Puki style, who's been amazingly consistent. And LDLC, was it a perfect game? It was not. There were still some of the trademark problems, some of those little lack of discipline plays we saw every now and then. But when it came down to it, they were demolishing.
Yeah, I completely agree. And all in all, I mean, we were talking about that ceiling that they reached. I think they skyrocketed through it today.
That was the ceiling. Can they break through? We're going to find out in a little while. First, we're going to go to a break, and then we'll be back with a final update. What did we see today, and what are we going to see the next couple of days?